everybody, welcome to Dubs Talk Live, brought to you by Fit Aid. The Warriors have won 3 straight games in this series. They need 1 more to close the series, and that next game is at Chase Center. Warriors insider Monte, Poole, Kings analyst Morgan Reagan, Kerith, Burke with you here. We saw a heart-pounding fourth quarter. The Warriors are up by 12. The Kings got it within 1 several times. But Monte, how do you feel like you saw maybe the poise or experience of the Dubs come through?
Yeah, you didn't see it in game 1 and 2.
No,
the Kings took over in the fourth quarter of those games. So, and we all thought going into this series that the Warriors' experience was going to be their edge. And we started seeing it once they got home. And tonight, I thought, okay, I think it's probably going to carry them through. Once they got the lead in the second quarter, they wavered a little bit in the third. In the fourth quarter, again, the Kings kept coming, man.
Yes,
they are relentless,
punch.
which is great. But I think in the end there, the Warriors, when you have that trio of Steph, Clay, Draymond, there's a belief there.
Yeah.
And I know this season we've seen them, falter at times.
Yep.
But this is the dash for the cash.
Yeah.
This is about the money chase. And so I think in Game 5, they know what it means if they lose it. They know to win the series, they got to come back here for a Game 7. So I think they want to take care of this tonight.
The Warriors have had trouble on the road. It's been a season-long theme. If they're going to say we feel different now, they have to prove it. And
yes.
Morgan, you have been with this Kings team all season. What is going to sting the most about this game?
Well, I have a stat of the day nominee for you, okay?
Okay. Big sigh.
Game 5 winner in best of 7 series go on to win 81% of the time.
Okay.
And, I think obviously when you look at that stat, it stings. But when you look at this Kings squad tonight, coming out hot, making their threes finally,
Yes,
Keegan
yes.
Murray looking like he did the other night, and then for them to not be able to continue that consistently throughout the game was sad. It was frustrating to see, and it's sad to know that this could possibly be the last home game of this season for the Sacramento Kings. You never want to count out the Warriors, but there's still, for sure, 1 more game, right? And that's where you're seeing the Kings with their back against the walls. How will they respond? Yeah. Well, the Warriors were feeling that already, and they came out just more experienced and stronger.
Yeah.
I thought that when you watch the way the Kings played the first quarter, I thought, oh my God, the energy was there, everything was there, the shots were falling. And then the second quarter, they were 0 for 9 from 3. Mm-hmm. The Warriors started playing defense, and they stopped turning the ball over. Again, first minute of the game, turnover. First minute of the game, third game at Golden 1. Again, same thing. It's like a habit here. So if there's a Game 7 here, watch for that first minute turnover.
Yeah, the Kings really did give it their all, but they ran up against the defending champs. This is where you see experience or poise come into play. Because looking at this, I was surprised. The Kings won the fourth quarter, 26-24.
Yeah.
That got to me a little bit. Looking at more things around the box score, the Warriors had 4 players with at least 20 points in this game. Draymond Green, one of them with 21 points, his highest total of the season. And Draymond and Clay together at the podium right now.
Clay, we all know the stat now, 28 consecutive series, the entirety of this whole era. You've won at least 1 playoff game in a 1 road game in a playoff series. How conscious of just that are you in the middle of this, in the middle of the crowd screaming that you got this in your pocket, that you have this experience, that you can pull it out?
I had no idea that was a thing, but I mean, that's amazing. Hopefully we continue this trend going forward. I mean, they have a great crowd, but since what we've been through, I don't think it's the biggest factor. We played in the most pressurized moments, whether it's the finals or the first round. So we just rely on our experience during nights like this.
Draymond, can you articulate sort of what Kevon Looney has become to this team and how much sort of a partnership you two have as the big guys, quote unquote, in this lineup?
Kevon has become like an Andre Iguodala, Sean Livingston, like a calming force. When we were a lot younger in this run, we had those guys, Sean, Andre, that list goes on, but those two guys in particular, that no matter what was going on, I start turning the ball over, Clay go haywire, Steph go haywire, and they would come in and just calm us down. And Kevon is that for this team. He's that stabilizing force that allows everyone else to focus on what they need to focus on. And, the way he rebounds the ball is incredible. His playmaking has taken another step in the right direction and just continues to get better. And so, he's a guy who we have the ultimate trust in. And, also on the defensive end, if you get beat, he's going to be there, and I know for me, when I'm on the floor with him, I'm so much more comfortable on the defensive end just because he doesn't miss any assignment. And so he's been that guy for us all year, last couple years, and he's continuing to get better.
Steve said that this is a different team than a couple months ago, maybe even just to start this series. Do you guys agree that this is a different team and that's leading to winning a game on the road finally and moving this forward?
I think this team is just, we've really grown together. Every year, no matter if you bring the same guys back and you got the same team, every year that team has to grow together. And, this year took a little longer than you'd normally like, but it's coming together at the right time for us. And, we know we have guys that we can put on the floor that we trust to make the right plays in these pressure situations. And, it's starting to go well for us.
When's the last time you hit a fadeaway like that one you hit tonight?
It's been a minute, but I'll tell you what, I had that same shot, I think, in game 2, and I missed it. And I thought it was money. So I went back to it.
You remember what you averaged in 2016 per game points?
Maybe like 14 or something like that, 14 and a half.
Kevon said tonight reminded him a little bit of that. I mean, did it for you?
In game 4, I was extremely aggressive, I thought, and I just missed layups. And I told y'all after game 4, I missed 6 layups, and I'll make those. And so tonight coming into the game, I knew where my spots would be. And, that's one of the luxuries of coming off the bench. You can kind of feel the game out, see what's going on. And, if there's a need for something, you can come in and insert yourself into that need. Or, if you see something that's working, you can go and fill that. And so, having the opportunity to watch from the bench for the first 6 minutes and see, pick up the flow of the game, I think has been big. And then also understanding, where my spots are going to be. For the last 2.5 days, I've been in the gym every day working on those things, exactly where I know those shots are going to come from. And, tonight, the layups went down. I didn't miss them tonight, so it was pretty good. But, when you got guys like Clay and Steph and Jordan, Wiggs drawing all the attention that they're drawing, you have to make the defense pay for that, and I tried to do that tonight.
And as for a continuation on that, Draymond, you sitting at the bench, seeing it from your point of view, because you came in, really aggressive. So can you just talk about, coming in and bringing that force off the bench? Yeah,
I mean, the way I view it is like I'm coming off the bench. Anything you come in and provide off the bench is luxury. It's an added bonus. And so, that was my mindset coming in. If I can come in and get this team something off the bench, I'm adding a bonus to this team. And so, I was able to get to the rim a couple times, as soon as I got in the game and, caught the flow of the game fast and then just tried to stay aggressive throughout.
Draymond, you guys limited De'Aaron to, I don't think he scored in the fourth quarter. What worked for you guys defensively, and how conscious were you of his finger?
I don't think he was conscious of his finger, so it wasn't nothing for us to be conscious of. He still, shot 25 shots and got some of the looks that he's been making. We were able to affect some of them, and they didn't go down tonight. But, when you're guarding a player like De'Aaron Fox, it's a total team effort. There's not one guy on any team that's just going to stop De'Aaron Fox. And so we know we have to rely on each other in guarding and trying to stop a guy like that. And, we had a little success tonight, but he's not stopping. They're facing an elimination game now. Clutch player of the year, he's going to come out and leave it all out on the floor, and we got to try to replicate that effort and also take away at a couple easy ones that we ended up giving them tonight.
Hey, I got a question for Klay Thompson. Klay, how many
Clay
times
is loving that y'all got him just sitting here.
I know,
So thank
I know.
you, Ramona. I appreciate it.
Klay, how many times do you think you've been asked this year why you guys have trouble on the road? And do you know, Steve said, I wish I had an answer for you. I'm sure you've given different versions of that answer. So how many times you've been asked, and why did you win here tonight on the road? Why did you finally get this done?
Probably at least 6 times, so y'all can do the math. And I think being whole again obviously helps. I think when we know what the stakes are, we play. I mean, we're competitors and we play to that level. And we know how difficult it is to win in this building, and it just took a different level of focus than it would have in the past. And I just think this was probably the best win of the year, but when the clock strikes midnight, it's a new day, and we got to put it behind us because we really don't want to come back. We want to give our fans a show at home and hopefully finish the series there.
And Draymond, do you enjoy being like the villain? Do you kind of lean into that role as the heel when the whole arena's yelling at you and stuff like that?
No, I just be myself. I don't go chasing after some villain title. Being a villain is no fun. It's not enjoyable, but I'm also never ducking any smoke. So whether that's with a player, whether that's with a fan or a fan base, it is what it is, and you got to take the good with the bad. My thought coming in tonight was like, it was great to play in Game 4 and the cheers that I got when I came in the game for missing that game. Super special. On the flip side of that, if you're gonna bask in that and appreciate that, then you have to appreciate the other side as well. We pride ourselves on not being front runners, so I knew for me, I couldn't love and appreciate the love and cheers that I got at Chase and then come out here and fold because everybody's booing me from the time I came in the game. You got to take the good with the bad, and so that was my mindset coming in. I knew, these fans would be at me from the time I went in, and to be honest with you, I barely heard them. I was just dialed in on the task at hand and focused, and I wanted to make sure I didn't give them any of my energy tonight. I didn't give any of my energy to them. Anything other than winning this basketball game, I wanted to focus all my energy towards that. So, for the majority of a couple times I noticed them, but for the majority of the game, I didn't even hear them. I was just dialed in on the task at hand.
See, that's an interesting perspective to me. That's how you be a villain. That's how you back it up. 21 points,
Yeah.
Draymond going 8 of 10. Also said something interesting, that coming off the bench, he could watch the game for about 6 minutes, see where he comes in and fits, and then he had one of his best games of the season.
Yeah, that watch the game and see how you fit and what you need to do. It's a lot like Andre Iguodala's approach to the game when he was sixth man. You watch the game, and when he'd come into the game, you'd see, okay, if he thought he needed to score, he'd go for scoring. If he thought he needed to pass. Whatever he thought that he needed to do to get the team going in the right direction, that's what he would do. And Draymond did the same thing. But like he said, he missed layups in Game 4. He took a bunch of shots. He could have scored 20 points, but he missed a bunch. And tonight, he was just more aggressive, but he was also more accurate and just more efficient with his shooting. When was 8 for 10 or something like that?
8 for 10, yep.
Yeah, so when you're 8 for 10 from the field, it's hard to get, that's 80%. It's hard to get much better than that. And he was better from the field than he was from the line. He missed, I think, 4 free throws. But when you look at that, he could have had a 30-point game had he played his cards right,
Woo.
So this was huge, and just the fact that he does not mind. Like he said, he hardly heard the fans.
Yeah.
He knew it was coming.
Yeah.
But
that's what happens when you're coming off a suspension. This is the first time that Kings fans have seen him at, Golden One.
Yeah, and you know what, though? I think after what Draymond went through last season in the finals in Boston,
sure,
I think everything else is kind of tame. You know what I mean? The Boston thing was, whoa, that was like almost scary.
Yeah.
And what you got here was just
did.
fans being loud at you, and so I think he responded really well.
Yeah, I love that Draymond showed some appreciation for Kevon Looney, a guy who has played in every game this season, a guy who had 22 rebounds, tying his career high. But it was interesting that Draymond called Loon the stabilizing force. Draymond said he feels more comfortable on the floor with Loon beside him. Those are some ultimate compliments there.
Yeah, he compared him to Sean Livingston and Andre Iguodala back in the day, and I understand what he's saying. That is that when everything else is going, hyper speed and guys are like getting emotional, Loon is steady. He's just steady.
Yeah.
When Loon complains to a ref, he's probably right because he just doesn't do that, know. But he's just that guy who, he's going to get a bunch of rebounds and a bunch of screens, and it's going to help the team. And so watching him tonight, I mean, at one point he had 17 rebounds in 20 minutes. It's like, really?
Staggering.
It's like, dude, if you play 35 minutes, you're going to have like 30 rebounds.
Yes.
But he is doing what he has to do for this team. They were clobbering the glass in the first quarter. They made up for it in the final three quarters. They pretty much took over the rebounding in the final three quarters. And so I thought Loon was as valuable as anybody on this court tonight. I mean, that counts Draymond, Steph, Clay, Wiggins. They all did important things for this team, but Loon was right there in the middle of it.
There you go. All right, Clay said it was the best win of the year. Interesting that it came on the road, but it had to come. It had to be this Game 5. It had to be in the playoffs. All right, when we come back, Dubs Talk Live, brought to you by Fit Aid. Let's talk about the three-point shooting in this game. For neither team, it was great, although the Kings started hot. How did the teams adjust? And maybe we should talk about Jordan Poole. That's next.
Dubs Talk Live is presented by Fit Aid Clean Energy and Sports Recovery, the energy drink for athletes. Fit Aid Energy is naturally sweetened with only 15 calories, no sucralose, no aspartame, and no compromises.
Usually when a producer is in my ear, he's all I can hear, but when you're talking, I'm also hearing programs. So sometimes there's like two channels talking in my ear and I have a hard time hearing you. Can you please repeat what you said? Yes. Should we just get right to him or? Okay. Yeah. And then coming out of that, I mean, take him for as long as you want. If I have to tell viewers, sorry, we didn't get to our three-point conversation. Steph Curry was at the podium.
We
That's okay.
laid off Jordan.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, okay. All right, so coming right off the top, there's no intro to Steph, it's just Steph?
Damn.
Oh, okay. All right, that sounds good to me. All right, and to the folks in the YouTube, how are you? Getting some cues from the producer. His name is Flo. He's been wonderful to work with this season. We have to thank the folks behind the scenes as well. We've got some comments in here saying people love the idea of Draymond off the bench.
Well, I mean, they're 2-0.
It's been working so far. That's right.
It's 2-0. And, we talked before the game. I thought maybe he would start Draymond to try and get set a defensive tone early in the game.
Yeah.
But no, he went with what he had. And the Warriors in the first quarter didn't look that good, you know. So I don't know if he'll stay with it. It makes sense, I guess, when you get back at home. Maybe you do that. But it's nice to have the flexibility to decide whether do I want to play Draymond or do I want to go with Jordan?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good option.
It is weird to me to talk about a healthy Draymond coming off the bench, but it's been working, and it almost feels like he could be locked into that role because it's been so beneficial for the rest of this series.
Yes.
Interesting. Hey everybody, welcome back to Dubs Talk Live, brought to you by Fit Aid. 4 20-point scores for the Warriors. In fact, Steph Curry was at 31, had 25 shots in this game. You want the ball in his hands. I think I saw a little note that he scored 30 in 4 out of the last 5 games. Steph Curry doing Steph things to help his team win.
Well, I think we've seen that movie before. And we'll see it again.
Season 13 or 14 for Steph? Yeah.
We've seen it before. We'll see it again, and we could see it as soon as Friday. This is who he is, man.
Yeah. All right. The man himself sat down at the podium. Here's Steph.
How familiar is that feeling to win a big road game, since you've done it now, obviously, 28 consecutive times in a playoff series? Is it a familiar feeling? Is it something you soak in, or is it, what is it?
It's one of the best feelings in basketball, in the sense of figuring out a way to win in a hostile environment and you know, understanding, especially as a lower seed, but in any series, winning on the road is a big deal. It's hard to do. And then you add on the layer of how we've been on the road throughout the course of the regular season. So it was a big night for us, and you could feel the sense of accomplishment, you know, after the game from everybody on the bench, everybody on the floor. Just how good of a feeling it was. So you know, obviously we got work to do to close out the series, but we needed this one. Snatch momentum back, and hopefully take advantage of it in Game 6.
Steph, was that you who started the Dre Nowitzki thing in the locker room, and just how big was he tonight?
He was awesome, like accepting his role, understanding how he can help us come out the bench, and he still plays 32 minutes, but he was everywhere. You know, offensively, the way that they're guarding us is huge for him to be aggressive. You know, I know he wanted to finish better than he did, you know, last game, and it looked like he knew right away those lanes would be there, and he was aggressive all night. That fadeaway was we've seen it before early in his career, and you know he works on it. There's this kind of a flow to it. He knew he was the game said shoot, and he knocked it down. It was a big momentum play for us. So I joke with him, that might be the new, whenever the statues come down the road, that might be the new post.
Steph, you typically are the ones that catch some of the greats record-wise. But Loon tonight did something that Will has done here and Nate Thurman has done with your franchise in terms of 2 20-rebound games in the series. Just talk about him being in that neighborhood, and also just, you know, I guess maybe it's an unappreciated art of rebounding, but his ability to be great at that.
It's special. I mean, like you said, those are 2 names that are in the rafters. And for him to join, you know, any list with those 2 guys on there, it speaks to just how special of a player he is and what he's become. You know, I guess what his the expectation of how he impacts games, you know, at this stage of in the playoffs, and just how important, you know, that skill set is. I don't know how he does it. We said it's a relentless effort, but it's, you know, just a knack for knowing where to be, and, you know, just the attitude that every ball that comes out the rim is his. And for him to do, you know, from Game 5 of the Memphis series, or Game 6 of the Memphis series last year, when he was back in the starting lineup and he had one of these type of nights where it became like Najawan or whatever they used to call it, whatever the nickname is, and what he's been able to do this series, like it's special. And we'd love to see more of it.
Steph, it is a very familiar situation to be closing out and the crowd's going away and silencing them. But to be able to do it with Draymond and Clay out there, you guys have been doing it for so long. And Draymond and Clay just kind of got a little sentimental, saying, you know, that they really cherish it. And maybe as you get older, the fact that you're doing this with the same guys, you know, which doesn't happen a lot in professional sports, just how special a feeling is that part of it?
It's everything, because, you know, each one of us have gone through a lot to, you know, try to sustain the level that we're at, and you hear, you know, all the talk about how long can we do it and whatnot, and, you know, our expectations to try to win championships. So I'm not saying that, you know, nights like tonight are anywhere compared to that, but they are a reminder of how, you know, how hard it is to win at this level. Like you said, the reps that we've gone through over the course of a decade to, you know, be the players that we are, and, you know, try to allow this journey to continue, and not taking it for granted at all, because, you know, we're doing something that is very unique and is, you know, something that could change at any point, and for us to be, you know, in a position that we're still out there, still, you know, creating results, like it's really dope. To think back of how it started and where we're at, and how far we can take this.
Dubs Talk Live is presented by Fit Aid Clean Energy and Sports Recovery, the energy drink for athletes. Fit Aid Energy is naturally sweetened with only 15 calories, no sucralose, no aspartame, and no compromises.
$23. Oh. Oh, okay. Well, hey guys. Well, that's what happens. We run a bunch of Steph sounds. No, it's good. You probably want to hear Steph, maybe even more than me and Monte.
I would understand
Shannon
that.
has the prayer hands or high five hands saying, "This core, you are exactly right." I'm curious. I can't think of many games where Steph, Clay, and Draymond each have 20 points. Because that's a rare night. Draymond might have a dozen points, 14 points. That's a good
For
night
all three of
Draymond.
them, yeah. I
Yeah.
bet it
Also
happened
need to
only-
mention Wiggins was one of those 20-point scorers tonight. That was nice to see.
But it hasn't happened more than
Yeah.
a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Draymond usually doesn't get that many points.
That's interesting. Uh-oh, somebody's saying, Eric is saying, LeBron, you next.
Well, Lakers got to win first. They
Lakers have
lost
to
tonight,
win,
but
Warriors
they, you know,
have to win,
yeah.
but that would be my preferred series. If the
Oh,
next
yeah,
one.
the Warriors would prefer LA to travel. Memphis?
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, okay.
no,
So
they-
keep it in California for the first two.
absolutely.
For the
They
first
would love
two,
that.
First two series.
I think we all would.
Man. Oh, here's a great point. Kevon Looney out-rebounds Sabonis on the night he received the season rebounding award.
He's been doing it this series.
That's a good observation. You're welcome, Shannon. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, we're back on Dubstock Live, brought to you by Fit Aid. Listen, Monte and I said we were going to talk about three-point shooting. Steph Curry threw a curveball on that. You guys want to hear Steph, maybe not us. We'll have that conversation on the podcast. But let's look ahead to Game 6.
Yes.
It's at Chase Center. It's the one the Warriors need to close this series. Don't even let it get to 7.
Right.
What do they have to do?
I think, first of all, play the game the smart way, the right way. It's the same two things Steve Kerr's been harping on. Rebound, take care of the ball. Tonight, again, you know, first minute of the game, turnover.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, I think they had 5 turnovers in the first quarter. You can't have that. And I think you look at this and say, okay, you start off the game that way, you're in pretty good shape.
Okay, Chase Center fans, Warriors fans, they need you. Game 6, that's Friday.
5 o'clock.
That's Friday at 5. Take care, y'all. We've got some comments. So the Bucks game was on at the same time too.
Yeah.
So people are trying to watch these two concurrently. What?
The Bucks are done.
They're done.
They are done.
That's
Hemi Butler.
yeah.
Man.
The Heat. The Heat.
The Heat, man, that team, and Jimmy, and I mean, they have a great coach.
Yeah.
They have a guy who plays for the playoffs. And I mean, Giannis, obviously, he was compromised throughout this series, missed games because of his back. Even when he came back in the last game, every time they took a timeout, they were out there working on his back, So he was gutting it out, and it wasn't really good. So I thought Milwaukee was the best team in the league when Giannis was healthy.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah. The
you
East looked stronger to me. There was too much bunch up in the West.
Yeah.
I was like, who's going to differentiate themselves? But really, I would look at the Bucks. I looked at the Sixers. Like, okay, maybe I should have looked a little harder at the Heat. I mean, this is just round 1, but
yeah,
what an
it is.
impressive
It's
advancement.
still early. The Heat now has to play the Knicks, and that's going to be an interesting series. I mean, the Knicks, they're a good team, really good team. But, Jimmy is hard to bet against in the postseason when he gets there. So I'm looking forward to how it works out. And Philadelphia, I still think, has a pretty good chance of getting it. They're going to get Boston at some point, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So that's going to be another good series.
Yeah, and Embiid's knee is a storyline now, too. Oh,
Yeah.
I wish guys were healthy. But yeah, New York and Miami, 2 of my favorite road cities.
I wonder why.
All right, hey, we're going to bring the conversation back to the Warriors when we record a brand new Dubstock podcast for you. So we'll say goodbye now on YouTube.